back to Alan. Sorry, not Alan Wake. The Great Ace Attorney. I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I got a little mixed up there for a second. Last time we were on the verge of finally solving the mystery of where Selden's lost loot went. But we need a sample for Herlock's skin print gun, which is still not something I'm a fan of. Now last time I might have mentioned how I came up with the solution. You might think it would be evidence, but in fact, we must present a person. We will need something of Selden's in order to create the indicated solution to find his loot. And something the convict owned happens to be in possession of somebody listed in the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From whom can we obtain the possession of late convict Selden to create the indicated solution? Well, if we think about it, it's pretty obvious. No, because I don't think there'd be any random evidence, in his room because no one knew where it was. But we do have the key that Olive has on her person. Considering that Shanspeare had the key inside the tin box, and that key presumably belonged to Selden, it's fair to assume that his the solution might react to his skin prints, I guess. Even though, again, how long did this last? It's been like months since he died, so it doesn't seem like they should still be lingering. But then again, I don't know the science of fingerprints. Maybe they do linger longer than I expected. I guess if you didn't wash the key or like try to clean it in some way, you know. Anyway, Olive.
Take that!
Give key. You must give key. Also, I just kind of realized, Ryunosuke's, doohickey, his outfit, rather, despite being kind of, steampunk inspired, obviously, it does also have some inspiration from his descendant, Phoenix Wright. I mean, it's blue, and he's got a red tie with a white shirt, so the resemblance is uncanny. Miss Green! Ah, me? What do you want with me? The key around your neck, if you please. Sorry. Gah! I mean, Chancellor's not having a good time of things. That key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use, I suppose. Very true. That is a sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicated solution required for Mr. Sholmes' skin print seeker, and find out exactly what Selden touched in the room that he used to rent. Mr. Shamspare, as one great to another, I assure you, the late convict's hall is hidden somewhere at his former lodgings. I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. So, Mr. Shamspare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth. Aw, man. The poor guy just wanted some loot. Some monies, He is super poor, apparently. In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key. Damn, he just... No! Give the key to me! The detective shan't have it! It's over, Mr. Shamspere. No! No! You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt! Whoa. Oh, Shamspere! Despair! Be thy name! Oh. Jeez. Those are nice hops, but, you okay? Oh, your hat fell off. I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room. That's all. so you'd have time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods. Yet, after you killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused. Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Oh yeah, you were late on the rent, weren't you? Mr. Canham really has had a lot to put up with. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then, this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume. What unfortunate timing. Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Pyle Road when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance. But it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And, if I remember rightly, Mr. Sholmes spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search the loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, he once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap. Oh, hello. William Shakespeare. How does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question. From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Oh, don't act like you fucking picked that, like, oh, you just like, oh, like you're some kind of Shakespeare expert, my guy. That's like one of the most famous quotes of his soliloquies from any of his plays. So, like, don't act like you're some kind of real fan. Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. Damn! Roast his ass. Yikes. And a oof, even. 1 yikes and 1 oof. Awarded to William Shakespeare. At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died. The gas supply in my loot lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive? You know, Olive? The gas supply? Yes, the stoves always seem to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. It's no joke. They say it's a convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please, don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is. Alright then. If it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There's spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight? No, I had better not. We said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember? But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night, he fell victim to the gas. If only I'd known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped, Eastern-looking man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grub's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican. That place is cursed, I tell you. Cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me. I wake up in the middle of the night, freezing to death, but because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas, and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked. No problem there. It's like I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking. But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse? Then I remembered a rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations. A rumor? Ah, you mean... Yes. Everybody's heard stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes. How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework. Yeah, even juror number 3 apparently knew about it, so I guess the news gets around. That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End. Black market? I'd never been. I just heard people talk about them. And you really can't buy anything you think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out, one way or another, was Duncan's death an accident, or was it murder? And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Smeared poison on the gas pipes you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. But what made you think Shakespeare in particular was guilty? Or what was the one who did it? I mean, there's like other lodgings there, aren't there? Or I assume there's like a couple rooms, right? Well, wait, what? Well, I don't know. I'm just curious what made you suspect Shakespeare in particular? If Mr. Shakespeare was innocent, nothing would come of what you've done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly. I found out the name of the man I suspected. William Shakespeare. But how? Well, I mean... Again, I feel like there's... Is it just those two? Was it just, like, those 2 rooms and that's it? I mean, if so, I guess it would be just process of elimination, but... I'm just curious, you know? And then I wrote him this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Rye Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough, so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked. And of course, Mr. Shakespeare followed the instructions to the letter. I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away. So I smeared a good amount of the poison I'd bought all around the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done, and it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying that the devil's work would be done, and that the culprit would get his just desserts. Well, that's a rather sordid tale, if ever I've heard one. "3 days ago, when you were first stood in the dock before me, the whole affair seemed relatively straightforward." "Yes, my lord." I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we should subsequently find lurking behind the scenes.
It has been a long road, my Nipponese friend.
Oh, yes.
And one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you.
Are you coming on to me now? Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green. Yes, my lord. You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom, as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Chancellor. Yes, I know. And will, Mr. Chancellor, will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Soseki Natsume here present. Mr. Naruhodo? Ah, yes. Yesterday, at the hospital, you and your friend stopped me from ending your life by drinking what was left from the poison bottle. I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be, or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems. Yeah, I suppose so. Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green. Oh! And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Chancellor didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least. Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. Oh, Miss Green. Mr. Soseki Natsume. Yes, my lord. The court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I would call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant not guilty. Yeah, we did it. We've proven Soseki innocent twice now. That's gotta be kind of lucky in its own way, right? I mean, to be accused of, murder and such twice over is pretty unlucky, but now you've got, you're lucky enough to have me on your side. Court is adjourned. Ah. All right, good work, team. 23rd of February, 3:24 p.m. And that was a whole day's of work. Oh, yes, at last, divine justice duly done. Divine justice, my dear fellow. If there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache. No, this has nothing to do with my mustache. Some say that a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Schultz. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Once again, you saved me from doom. I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. You're second in almost as many days. I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. Yeah, you know what they say, never meet your heroes. Or in this case, don't never meet the city that bore a lot of your heroes. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books. You've had such a difficult time, haven't you? Ah, but a week ago now, I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not? You did. And I've seen more of life in this week than in all my years to date. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog. Ah, my dear fellow, there's nothing special about the true face of the English, as you put it. Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are a few genuine differences. I mean, yeah, that's kind of true in its own way, I suppose. Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that. And I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live. Yeah, that's also true. Well said. I've come to feel the same way. I've made a decision too. I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan. What? Just when we become friends here in England? What a terrible shame. Oh, I know. That does tug at my heartstrings. It really does. But I've decided. I'd like to take everything I've learnt here in Britain and write something of my own. Novel. Sorry. A novel of sorts, I suppose. No, fucking. No, I don't want to. Why did that pop up? Jesus. I don't know where that just came up out of nowhere. Oh my! So you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume? How wonderful! Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature. Why not? Well, that is precisely the definition, Mr. Moustache. I suppose you're right, yes. It will, in a way, be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur. I, for one, would love to read your work. Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with a Reaper. Ah, that's very true. That there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor. Bro, you don't want to scare him further. He's going to be leaving Japan, or leaving England, so the Reaper can't get him, regardless. Besides, you know, Sozuki Natsume ends up having a pretty good literary career, all things told. From what I've gathered, he's one of the most acclaimed, you know, Japanese authors, or at least of the classic, well, of this particular era, at any rate. You know, the same way we talk about George Orwell or fucking Ernest Hemingway. You know, there's a place for Natsume in the sphere of Japanese literature. But anyway, the desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand. My goodness, yes. Faced with such a terrifying prospect, nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure. Oh, poor Sozuki. Even when you get some nice moments, you don't get to, you know, you don't get a break. But that's not why I'm leaving. I mean it. Objection. Oh. Too bad Sozuki doesn't have a voiced clip. And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Sozuki-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotaba was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Suzaru-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well. Oh yeah, this whole case was supposed to, like, relate to, like, a bigger deal, wasn't it? I kind of forgot about that part. So something about this case made Mikotoba want to summon Suzaru by lying about being sick. On the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial, on the following day, the day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. Oh bro, oh sick, do we get to keep some of that? That'd be pretty epic and cool. Also, man, Suzuki sure has a lot of books. The next day, in Mr. Natsume's room. Oh, he's got his little eye goggle mask thing on. Also, I'm glad this is being followed up on, because I was kind of curious about it. Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you. To uncover the secret hiding place in just one day. Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? As I believe I told you, my dear fellows, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson? Oh, you're here. Yeah, I guess the police also want to know about the loot. I guess it wouldn't be right if we just kept it for ourselves, huh? We wouldn't even need those 1,000 guineas. Gregsy's been happily mentioning an agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley. Happily? I think perhaps humorously might be closer to the truth. So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let's look then, if you're ready. Let's examine the late burglar's hole. What is that? Oh hey, it's a collar. It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar. And it's bloody, but also has like jewels and stuff in it. That's pretty sick. A collar? It's huge though. And look at all the gemstones set in it. I could see why it was planned to be worth £1,000. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Wait, that's it? It was just that collar? So like I thought he did like 6 burglaries or whatever. All that was left was one little collar? Oh! Have you noticed on the inside there? There's some dark stains. You don't think they could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it. Uh-oh. On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. Then, of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown. What does it signify, do you think? Oh, I hadn't noticed that. It's B for, based. Based and collar-pilled. Or maybe based for, Barack. Or Barrack. Maybe it's his collar, you know? I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know? Where could it have been? Well, that's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? All the color is drained from his face. I mean, he looks about as pale as normal, but fair enough. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, oughtn't you? It could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Ah, yes. Get your grubby hands off that, you lot. Hand it over. Now. Huh. I've never seen a collar that large before. And all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me. At least, not once I noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar. Those stains. Could they really have been blood? Hope it is not, Barack's blood. Oh well, nothing sus about that, I'm sure. Ah, well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? Ah, but it's all buttoned up now. And you look very pleased, Iris. I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use as a basis of this month's story in the magazine. For this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating. You're talking about the latest installment of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I presume. No, she was talking about the fucking Red Badge of Courage. Ah, the mystery of the knife and the mist, and the mustached man and the convict's curse, perhaps. I could make it a 2-part story. Yeah, you could make it like for like a video game, you know? Split these two cases that seem unrelated at first, and then just, you know, and then once you've read the second part of the story, it all comes together, you know? It could make for a really good plot in a video game. A word, please, Iris. Yes? What is it, Hurley? I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question. What? What? Why not? It's a great case. Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your 2 titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear? Yeah. Jeez. Kind of a bummer. Yes. Jeez. I never knew to be such a buzz.
And so it was that the second of Soseki-san's cases became buried in obscurity.
Oh, hi, Ryunosuke. I didn't know you were going to be talking.
Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story.
I don't see why. I mean, the only weird thing was the part with the collar at the end, right? Couldn't you just, like, cut that out, and then you'd have a perfectly good story still, you know? Or just, I don't know, make some artistic license, or, you know, take some creative licenses with it? I mean, that's what she did with some of the dialogue and stuff. Like, it's not like a one-to-one, you know, thing, so...
It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again.
Okay, so the letter, that was at the end of the first case, I think.
With an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Oh. Okay, well, I guess we got that to look forward to. Oh boy, Finny, Finn, end. All right. Epic and Kokoro killed. Am I right? That's the second case down. We were kind of at it for a while, but it turned out pretty well, I'd say. Then again, also the fact I'm doing shorter episodes means that each case is going to be longer than it was before. But regardless, you know, we made good progress. We're I assume there's 5 cases in the game, so we've got 2 down and 3 to go. And I'm guessing business is about to start picking up relatively soon. But yeah, obviously there's no better place to leave an episode off than finishing one case. So yes, tomorrow or whenever, I will start case 3. The return of the great departed soul. Also, yeah, the voice acting just kind of popping in and out when you least expect it is a bit strange, but I mean, I guess I can't just have the whole... It'd be weird, I guess, well, it'd be interesting if there was a fully voiced Ace Attorney game, but I feel like it might get a little old, especially if you're going through the testimonies, you know, the cross-examinations, you're like, if they were repeating the same, the lines every time, stuff like that might get old. But that's a tangent, not really relevant to the discussion. Like I said, got case 2 down, it was pretty darn good. I really liked how it related to the events of the 4th case from the last game. Because, you know, we've had incidents, right, or cases where, like, some spooky incident in the past has, you know, haunts the present, and we have to figure out what happened in the past. That went unsolved in the past, and then, you know, solve how it relates to the present and stuff. But I don't think there's been an instance where, like, one case that we solved we end up revisiting something that lets us see the whole story in a greater light in terms of things that like we personally went through, not like 7 years ago with like SL9 or fucking DL6 or what have you, you know. So that was a neat little way of connecting these two cases that otherwise wouldn't have much going on, you know. So that was cool. A good case. In fact, quite good even. I mean, really, it was so far. Both of the episodes of this game have been great, honestly. So yeah, no big complaints for me. Other than again, I wish they would have maybe specified how Olive like suspected Shannon Spear specifically. Like, why didn't she suspect Garadev? He was the one who fucking was watching the pipes and stuff. Maybe he was killing his tenants. You don't know. But sorry, that's again tangent. I was not really a tangent. I want to at least talk a little bit about how I felt about the case as a whole before moving on to the next one. So you know, regardless, next time we will be starting a new episode. But until then, I'll see you around.